engineers as a group, there's always exceptions, but generally they have poor social skills. And that is what's holding them back, especially electrical engineers. Like when I was in university, I don't know if things have changed, but mechanical engineers, they had like a lot of jock types doing mechanical. People in leather jackets, people that like looked really good, you know, they were kind of buff and they were handsome and, you know, those kind of people, right? In electrical engineering, it was filled with like little Asian people in sweatpants, you know, like that was kind of, I don't know how else to put this obliquely, but it stank. These people had never heard of deodorant. So that was kind of the image, right? Now, out in the real world, when I've been like a manager and stuff, and I've had to hire engineers and things and work with engineering firms to do various things, it's like you get engineers. I'm connecting with other engineers and I'm interfacing with them, and it's the same. You know, a lot of these people, they have very poor social skills. The type of people that would write like a 4-page email to someone when it's completely unnecessary. It's like, take it easy, you know? Because they don't know how to bottom line anything. They don't know how to condense something down and say, this is what matters. If you need more details, just let me know. You know, they're incapable of doing that. So that's always been the weak spot of engineers as a group. Now, there's always exceptions. Like I said, you find people that just have it all within that group. They got the technical chops, plus they're just awesome as people. They're very professional, and you know, they're extrovert. They can go out and they can, like, you know, talk to everybody and their brother and make things happen. You know, it's fantastic, right? But that's what holds a lot of engineers back. Now, if you can tack on awesome social skills in combination with your master's degree in engineering and not be so, like, I don't know if this is you or not, but the stereotype is not be so academic, not be so insular, realize there's a life outside of academia in the private sector. Things work differently. It's much more real. It's more about what you can do rather than are you allowed to, you know? If there's a motivation to do something, people will just find a way to do it, right? It's not about asking for permission and, you know, seeing if there's a rule on it. It's about just, if I can do it, I'll just go and do it. I don't have to get approval before I do this. I can just make it happen. So, you know what I mean? If you can tack on the social skills and the sort of the real world skills, that can be a fierce combination. And if you have the real world skills with things like networking skills, that will also allow you to discover great job opportunities where people will pick you over other people. They'll pick you over the engineer that also has a master's, but they have 25 years experience. They'll pick you over them because you know how to talk to people and people want to work with you. They choose you because they want to work with you. Think of the private sector. Think of engineering companies. There's many engineering companies that can solve your technical problem. If I need someone to design like a crane or something like that, I can get many companies to do that for me. But there's only one or two that I actually enjoyed working with. There was a lot of others, they had the technical chops, but my God, you know, they kept sending me like emails, like every technical detail. Like, I don't know. You guys figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't micromanage every aspect of what you do. Just bottom line it. Now, that seems like a silly, petty thing to say, right? But that's the kind of thing that as a group, engineers just don't get. And that makes the difference between a client wanting to work with them and not wanting to work with them, right? Because they just don't seem to see the perspective of the client. I don't just manage you, you know. I got a lot of other things on my plate. And quite frankly, I don't have time to deal with all the minutia of what you're doing. Just give me the bottom line. Let me know what you need. Let me know the basic time frame. That's all. You know, like it's real world stuff like that a lot of these people just don't understand. So if you can develop that, that is the tiebreaker. Holy crap, I would work with you. That's all I can say. That's been my experience with engineers. So like, that's what I know specifically about engineers. I feel pretty strongly about it. Having a degree in engineering, you know, even though I haven't really worked in that industry directly. So I don't know if that helps, but it's things like this. Like there's a practical side that you just don't get in academia, you know. So I'm sure you're a technical, you know, tour de force when it comes to knowing the having chops for this stuff. But if you're trying to sell those services or you're trying to practice them, there's a whole other side that maybe you've been possibly insulated from. Like, first of all, you can't tell me that you can't do something as basic as an informational interview. You got a master's degree in engineering, for God's sake. Do a shit ton of informational interviews, okay, with high-level people, okay, people that like directors of engineering, people that own companies, people that run companies, and people that specifically focus on operations. So COOs, directors of operations, things like this, head of functional departments, even like, head of the design department, or the maintenance department or the repairs department, whatever, like operations style stuff. Do informational interviews. Get them to explain what they do, what's important, what skills they look for, what skills are needed now, what skills are needed in the future, and why. You have like 10 conversations with people like this about that stuff. You'll learn a lot. Okay, I don't have a master's in engineering. Okay, I've talked to a shit ton of CEOs about this kind of thing. Okay, they gave me the interview because of communication skills, because of how I contacted them and what I said. They didn't know me and I didn't know them. Right? So, I mean, if I can do this, you're even more of an authority than I am, certainly in terms of engineering. So it's like, you should be able to do this. Go and do this kind of thing. You'll be amazed at what you pick up. And as an added bonus, by the way, you've got a connection. You know the director of engineering inside that engineering firm. You could go away and come back to them a month later and say, hey, I've been thinking about what you said. That sounded really cool. What you were telling me about when you were telling me about this, that sounds really cool. If ever you guys have an opening in your department that you could use someone with a master's in engineering, hey, let me know because I'd love to work for you. This isn't that sophisticated, but like even that alone, okay, is something you can do. I teach people how to do that in my course. I taught 21 and 22-year-olds how to do that in university, and they got selfies with CEOs. They went out and got informational interviews, and they got selfies, and then some of them got jobs from doing this. So it's not that hard. You just need to know what to say, how to approach them. Right? So learn this stuff. You're telling me you got great communication skills because you took a course. I'm not impugning anything, but like, if that's true, you should be able to get some real results. So I'm not saying this as a nasty thing. I'm saying this as a challenge to you, my friend. Okay? James, you can do this. You can kick ass. You can open up all kinds of opportunities for yourself. I want to encourage you to go down this path. Okay? Because you got the technical chops. You do. You don't need to be working minimum wage. You need to be like taking advantage of basic stuff like this because you have the right to be there. You got the credentials to be there. Okay? That more than justifies you doing this. You just need to learn how to approach people, what to say, and how to make a good impression that makes them want to work with you. They got to hire someone. Might as well be you. They've met you. You're awesome. You're professional. You're great to work with. They clicked with you. You asked really smart questions. You seem to really want to learn. You had the right attitude. Why would they not hire you? You would be the first person on the list if they were filling up a position you could do. And I've said this in live streams before, but I've had students where a student came back and told me this is what happened. And it really shows you how powerful this is. When the CEO that the student just did an informational interview with, when the CEO hands the director of HR that student's resume and says, look into this person, that's pretty damn powerful. It's like no director of HR is going to come back and say, I don't want to, or that's not what we do. It's like, yes, sir. So this is why you talked. The people that can help you are at least one level above you, okay? And higher. Those are the people that can open doors for you. You need to learn how to approach them, what to say to them. The great thing about this is that if you can do it, there's not a lot of competition here. It's not like everyone's doing this. So that's why they pick you, because you're the one that showed up. If you show up, that shows you're keen. It shows you're passionate, you're interested, just by trying this, So anyway, I want to encourage you. Do this, okay? It'll only help you. And all that insider information about how the business works, they'll answer whatever questions you have. Now, you don't want to talk to somebody up here and ask some questions about what goes on down here. What I'm saying? You can learn whatever you need to learn if that's a factor, right? And you know what? It's dumb because how are you supposed to know things in a situation you've never been in the situation? Every reasonable person knows this. This is just the stupidity that happens at the lower levels, when people really don't know how to hire somebody. It's totally arbitrary.